Welcome to another episode of Educating Homebuyers, the podcast. I'm your host, Brady Hay, and my mortgage team has over 9 years of mortgage experience here in Des Moines, Iowa. Whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, investing, or simply just curious about the market, this show is all about helping you and future homebuyers feel informed, educated, and comfortable as you take your next step. Each week, I sit down with real estate professionals, past clients, and local experts to unpack real stories, real advice, and what you actually need to know when buying a home today. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. On today's episode, we're joined by a seasoned leader in the real estate world, someone who's practiced in the market for roughly 2 decades and has personally guided buyers and sellers through more than 1,000 transactions across the Des Moines area. He's built his own brokerage now, focusing on elevating how real estate is done in every day, helping clients navigate complex decisions and achieve their goals with clarity and confidence. Outside of his professional pursuits, he's a family man, balancing business with life at home. Mark Charter, welcome to Educating Homebuyers.
Thank you.
How are you, my friend?
Good.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate your opportunity to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, happy to be here.
How this always starts off is I love to just give you an opportunity to share your story. How'd you get into real estate? What's that look like for you? And 20 years is a long time. So give everybody an insight.
It's a long time, yeah. So 20 years ago, I was managing a convenience store at the Harvester Golf Course, if you know where that is, in Rhodes, Iowa. And that was never meant to be a long-term gig. I'd graduated from Iowa State. I'd gone through most of Iowa State in journalism and realized I didn't want to be a journalist about 90% of the way through. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Managing a convenience store, and a broker that I knew that I had gone to church with at Century 21 said, Mark, I think you'd be good at real estate. And I hadn't really thought about it before then, but that kind of got me started going down the path, did the licensing stuff, and when I was about... it would have been 2005. So yeah, this is year 21. Got into it and struggled like most agents do. But figured out some things along the way, and it's been 21 years since that point.
Clearly something's worked if you're still knocking it out, right?
Something has worked. Yeah. I tell people this all the time. There's no magic to real estate success. And we could touch on that, but I think sometimes people think that the agents that figure it out versus those that did not have something special about them necessarily, or they were just born right, or they just looked the right way, et cetera. And I don't believe that's true. I think there's some commonalities for success, but I think success can fit all sorts of different personality types. One of the key things, obviously, is just not quitting. The moment you quit, you failed, right? And there were times when I probably wanted to do that, but I'm happy that I stuck it out, and here we are 20 years later.
What are some things you focus on to help get through those tougher times or downturns or valleys, whatever you want to call them? How did you navigate through that and find yourself, to ride that roller coaster?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, honestly, one of the answers, and to some of your listeners that might sound a little bit corny, but for me, faith's really, really important. I think my personal understanding is I'm not in this journey alone. There's other people, obviously literal people and family and friends and past clients that can help you. But faith's a big deal to me. And realizing that sometimes it's okay to ask for help from someone outside of ourselves is good. And I've done that a lot over the 20 years. But I also think it's identifying what the actual issue is. So for most agents, it's, I'm not selling enough. Go back a step. Why are you not selling enough? Well, I don't have enough people that want to buy or sell a home with me. Okay, why is that? Now you start to get into a little bit of a database analysis, right? Okay, how many people in the last month did you see in person, have a conversation with, grab a coffee with, do a softball with, whatever it is? And if you say, oh, in the last month, I guess maybe that was 2 people. We're starting to isolate the problem a little bit, right? So I think one of the keys to real estate is simply having at-bats. You have to have opportunities where you can meet somebody that might buy or sell a home, either then or down the road. And if you're simply not doing that enough, you're going to have a really, really tough time in this business making it.
And it's not as simple as just like write a check and now you get a transaction, right? Like
it's a way to do it, right? So if you're really struggling, you say, I want to do this, I'm committed to this, and herein lies the problem, you can go the leads route. And man, get me started on leads. Here we go.
We don't need to do that yet.
Man, so it's a viable option, but the problem with leads especially if you have to buy them and you're a brand new agent. You don't have the money.
You don't have any money. Yeah.
Right? And around it goes. So fortunately, there's some lead systems that allow you to pay closing. You can focus on those. But if you want to build a career, I don't think leads buying them is the way to do it. Right. I think you need to go the more organic route through relationships. But if you're really struggling, that might be one of the first places other than open houses to say, hey, if you need some at-bats, here's a quick way to try to get some of those.
Yeah. It's cool you share the faith story because I actually, at the time of filming this, we had a coaching call this morning, and it's our, call it top 7 or 8 in our company, our top producers that I was sitting on the call with. And we had an opportunity to have an outside of our organization keynote speaker come in and talk. And, the entire time he was talking about like really identifying, first and foremost, do you believe that you deserve the business that you're working towards, right? And the whole time it was really interesting for me because, they were asking like prompting questions to the people on the call, and almost everybody that was on there, like they're hungry, they want a lot of business, they work their tails off, they all have families that they have to support, and the commonality on the conversation was, that they don't have enough time to continue to scale, right? And I was just kind of sitting in the background reflecting on that, and like from my perspective, it's different for me because I don't have a family, right? I am a single man. I don't, obviously my parents and siblings I still have, but I don't have my kids of my own. I don't have a wife at the moment. And so like I'm thinking like, all right, what can I do? Because time is not a problem for me. I've got time to scale my business, right? And then they got to talking about like your why. Why do you work towards, more business? Why do you want more transactions? Why do you want to make more money and all these things? And they kept kind of coming back to the commonality of like those more transactions or the bigger paychecks or whatever aren't going to really fulfill what you're looking for. And I like the whole time was just kind of listening to this is like, that's not my why, right? Because I understand and know that my relationship with Jesus Christ and wanting to see him in heaven is like, that's my why. So I've already, like my cup's already full in that sense. And so like, it's just a weird dynamic being in a sales industry where it's very important to continue to grow, right? And you obviously want to do better and do more by people. But I just think it was kind of cool timing that you brought that up because that was a conversation I had with myself this morning. It's like, all right, well, if I know that like quadrupling or 10xing my business is not going to move the needle for me, how do I still want to do that? Because I want to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's cool to hear people profess faith publicly, right? So good on you for doing that. One of the things do you know who Gary V is?
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk. He has a goal to own the Jets, the New York Jets. And he was talking once about that, and he said that he realizes that he might not ever own the Jets because they might not come up for sale or it's too much money or whatever the case is. But he's going to enjoy the pursuit of trying to own the Jets, right? So one of the things that I do is, we're in the business of building a brokerage, trying to recruit agents, et cetera. But in those moments where that's not happening quite the way that we wanted to, you have to find enjoyment and fulfillment in the work itself. Yeah. Right? I like going to work. Yeah. I like it when my agents call and say, hey, can you help me with this thing? And it's not something I trained myself to do. I'm fortunate that I do like it. But you can't always be looking at the end goal. Yeah. And if you're short of that, you're a failure, right? Because we're always working towards something. The other thing I would encourage people to do is, as you mentioned, knowing your why, ask yourself, when are you the happiest? Yeah. Right? So when are you truly the happiest, where you can reflect on something and say, hey, man, I just thought to myself an hour ago how happy I felt doing X, whatever X was. Yeah. And for me, it's, I've got 3 kids, 9, 11, and 14, married, got the dog, I've got the typical suburban life, right? And I'm happiest when I'm on the couch watching a football game, my kids are around me. Yeah. Right? It's not when I'm on some fancy yacht. It's not on a particular destination spot. It's not driving a particular car. Yep. For me, I'm happiest when I'm with my family and we're having a happy moment, right? And that is incredibly fulfilling. So then why do we go work? We go work because we need to support the things that make us happy. We have to have the house. We have to, have the car to drive our kids around in, et cetera, and to each their own on that, right? Someone that's single is different than somebody that's married with 3 kids. But it's not, sometimes I think chasing success for success sake is not the right thing. And I can say that fully because there was a time in my career where I would have done that.
Yeah.
Right. So the joke for me always became back. So again, 20 years of real estate, there was a time when they actually had the DMAR banquet at Prairie Meadows most years. And they would have the Circle of Excellence, which was you sold a certain amount of real estate per year. And that was the night that you went and, got in your tuxedo and they called your name up on stage. You would go do the thing. And I never went to it. I never ever went to that once.
Right.
And one year they did a film there, or a B-roll type thing before that moment where Megan Hill Mitchum, who's a great agent, and Rick Wanamaker, who's a great agent, we actually filmed a bit where their car had broken down and I stopped to pick them up.
Yeah.
Because they had a flat tire.
Yeah.
And they were shocked that I was going to the banquet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to the banquet. I'm just going to Prairie Meadows to gamble.
Right.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
And it was. I don't know. Here's my point. That to me was about success and celebrating success with other people that are in your industry, and it never felt good.
Doesn't feel like the right thing
to me to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting down other agents that like that. I mean, we're all built differently.
No doubt.
But I wasn't chasing that type of success, or certainly am not now.
Right.
I like to have the biggest success for me is seeing my agents succeed.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do because I kind of got to where I needed to be in real estate myself.
Right. I have my phone up here because I want to share what we chatted about on our call this morning. But the coach, and his name's Jared. I'll tag him in the comments here. But what he shared is, first you have to identify your desire, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking to accomplish? In our world, or our instance, it's real estate and mortgage, right?
Sure.
The second piece of this equation is belief. And that belief is three-part. It's one, belief in yourself, right? That you have the ability to execute for your people.
Sure.
I'll be honest, I'm the first to admit that I'm not the best at that. I'm my own biggest critic. I'm the first to tell you that maybe I'm not good enough.
I have some extra, so I can give you some if you want.
Well, maybe I could rub off on you. Maybe need to spend some more time with you. But,
all right.
So that's the first one, is you have to have belief in yourself. You have to believe in your cause, right?
Yeah.
So the system, the process that you've built that you execute on for your clients or your people, you have to believe in that. Number three is you have to believe that you deserve it.
Yeah.
And have to fully understand that the work you've put in, the process you've built is you deserve the success that you're chasing after, right?
Yeah.
And the final piece of the equation was minus attachment to the outcome.
Yeah, I like
so it's
that.
just like in
it's
line.
It's like the Gary Vee thing, going back to just enjoying the process.
You have to completely eliminate the final end result, which is, in our world, it's the paycheck, or it's the award that you talk about that you receive at the banquet. It's the process of building relationships with human beings and helping guide them through what it looks like to buy a house.
We talk about this a lot at our firm. So one of the things that I try to help my agents do is get through some of it isn't about understanding contracts better or how to work the MLS or some things like that, right? Those are tactical things. The bigger issues are, how do I elevate confidence in a living room when I'm talking to somebody? How could I come on, a podcast and do this without notes or whatever? Right. And those things come up a lot. And one of the things that I tell my agents is, here's a specific example. I don't really want to talk to people about what I do too much because they'll find that I'm pushy and annoying, et cetera, and that whole elevator pitch thing where I got 30 seconds. I said, if you ever want to start to feel differently about that, it comes back to the belief thing that you're talking about. Because the moment that you feel legitimately like if they don't hire me and they go and hire someone else, they've hurt themselves in the process. So now, if I really truly believe that I'm the very best person for them, and here's why, you have to have reasons for that, then it's no longer a nuisance to tell them about what I do. Right. It's helpful.
Correct.
And that changes the game.
And the
when you
key
start to
with
think
that is having those things identified that make you different.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I talk to you about.
There's a lot of us that do these jobs. 100%.
And I just passed my 10-year anniversary of doing mortgages, and I will tell you that middle of year 8 into year 9, I had to have that self-reflection of what really is the reason why someone should call me to buy a house, right?
Are you pushing paper, or is it deeper than that?
Yeah. And I do a self-identification, and frankly, I added things to my process and to the client experience so that I could then confidently sell that. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody asks me, why should they call me? It's easy for me to explain the things that make me different. Yeah. And that to me was a completely eye-opening thing. And then it led to starting this podcast and everything else that this has led to. So it's just cool to hear you say that it's in alignment with the things that I've tried to identify.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Awesome.
So give everybody, because I'm not sure.
Thanks for the coffee, by the way.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting treats.
Shout out Northern Vessel. free promo. But no, so I think I'd love to have you touch on and give some insight into Agency Iowa. What is that? How long ago did it become life? And what's some things maybe that an agent that isn't aware of what that looks like should know?
Sure. So the quick story is, so go back about 10 years.
Okay.
I was at RE/MAX. I did 10 years roughly at Century 21 and RE/MAX. Realized that status quo is not something I'm built for, right? So if a firm has something that this is the way we do it, kind of fall in line, I tend to naturally reject that.
Okay.
So that got me thinking about starting my own firm. 2005, basically, or not 2005, sorry, about 2015, 16. I started Charterhouse Real Estate. I went with my name because it's somewhat business sounding. There's charters on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's what I was comfortable with at the time. And we started as a regular firm, morphed into something that was a bit of a flat fee model.
Okay.
And that ran through basically the summer of 2023.
Okay.
Scrapped it for a couple reasons. The market had changed, so the flat fee thing was harder at that point. But also I knew that I don't want to sell forever myself. Okay. And recruiting to a flat fee model is very, very, very difficult, right? Even if in the end you can say, listen, this is a loss leader to get sellers interested. Hopefully we capture both sides. You make more money at the end.
Sure.
Agents just here, I got to make less money, right? So got rid of that, knew we needed to do a rebrand to try to cast aside what we had done before.
Okay.
Came up with Agency Iowa, a little bit intentionally ambiguous as a name. I don't like specific names, I'm not picking on anybody, but names like Precision or whatever, it's too specific for me. So Agency Iowa, right? Okay. It could be a real estate firm, it could be an insurance firm, et cetera. But part of the reason we did that is I have a belief, a strong belief, that the brokerage is not the star of the show, the agent is. Okay. So Agency Iowa is about a few different things. One, as much agent autonomy as possible. Okay. Example of that is most firms want to put a listing onto the MLS for agents. We think it's not the right way to do it. We want our agents to do it because it's faster. They have more control over it, et cetera. That's a tiny little thing, but it's kind of the lead off for, we want to treat you like adults, like professionals. We want to offer what we need to offer you and get out of your way and let you brand yourself if you want to, right? We do that through trade name licenses, but we encourage that. We have a bunch of agents that brand themselves because, again, they're the star of the show. Yeah. But most importantly, I wanted to, because I understand agents, I was one for a long time, still am to this day, I wanted to create a brokerage, rethink how we did it so we could offer the best pay in the industry. Okay. So our agents, from day one, there's no caps. You don't have to work your way up to anything. Our agents make 100% of every paycheck that they bring in, plus $100. So the 100 is company revenue, profit, however you want to view that. Okay. So we actually pay our agents over 100% on every single deal that they do all year long. People ask the big question, how do we make money? Yeah. How do we make money? Well, as anyone knows, all agents or all firms charge admin fees. Okay. We're surviving off of admin fees, what I sell, rents that we do with our building, et cetera. But this also goes back to lifestyle. And I'm okay talking about this too. I think sometimes people think if you own a brokerage that you need to be making $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. I don't. Right. I don't, right? As a firm, last year we did 340 deals. Hopefully this year will be 400 deals. We did 121 roughly in million in volume. What does that mean? Where does that put us? Mm-hmm. DMAR tracks firm sales. There was roughly 171 firms last year that registered a sale. We were number 13. Okay. So we're in the top 10%. We're the most successful, what I would call a true independent on that list. Everyone else above us, either someone like Peoples is farm ground, that we don't do that, we do houses, or the firms that you've heard of, with the national name, the franchise name, et cetera. So our story is we're 100% local. All the money stays in Iowa. We're not sending it off to parent companies anywhere. And our agents are literally the best paid in the industry. So we're looking for the agents that want autonomy, that want to maximize their paychecks, that want to be around an outstanding group of people that support each other. And we're never going to look to be hundreds of agents. Yeah. My target goal right now is 50, 60 agents, call it a day, because I want to be able to know the names of every agent that works there and be able to have conversations like this. Yeah,
and it has to be scalable too and consistent with the brand that you've built, right? Sure. Like I think that's super important that, and we actually take a very similar approach in our office is, Key Mortgage Group is our brand, right? But like nobody actually technically knows that's not the mortgage company we work for. And so that's...
And honestly, like, and I'm saying the same thing about Agency Iowa, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned your brand and my response is, who cares? They're calling you.
Exactly.
That's how it should be,
and
right?
I got to think through the logistics of when this will be released. I don't even know logistically when. I have news that I
eventually
will release.
Eventually. Are we breaking news on your podcast?
Well, I don't know if I can. That's what I don't
you can
know.
edit this thing, right?
Well, we can. I might have to hold on to it until after the news is public. But
and I would say too. So I kind of know where you're going. I don't know what you're talking about, but I would say this. I want to give one more encouragement to agents, so I don't forget.
Yeah.
Right. My hope for agents is that more and more, and we are seeing this slightly in our industry, you are not your brand.
Yeah.
You might be your own brand, right? Mark Charter might have his own brand, and there is importance to that. But if I cringe when I hear people say, I'm a RE/MAX agent, I'm a Coldwell Banker agent, I'm a whatever, right? Because yes, technically you work there, but you're still an independent contractor, and the real brand that you should be growing is your own.
Yes.
So if you move brokerages, the brand hasn't died.
Yeah.
It's still with you.
And it's cool, like from my perspective, to see that when I've been making those phone calls this week, calling some people and telling them about this news that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Yeah. What a tease, man. Jeez.
The common consensus is, okay, I don't care. Like I can still call you, right?
Yeah, and we have, I keep saying one more thing. We're bringing over agents from other firms. I won't even mention the firms now. And when they come over, sometimes there's a natural hesitancy.
Yeah.
How will my business perform losing a national brand and gaining a local one that maybe my clients have never heard of?
Yeah.
And the reality is we see the numbers. Mm-hmm. There's been no fall off. And in most cases, they're succeeding more. Not only are the
if you're building it the right way.
Yeah, not only are the sales not falling off, but their income is growing because their checks are bigger on every single deal.
Yeah.
So thank God for brave souls that are willing to take the risk and come over. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, a year from now when Agency Iowa is still going, more agents will say, oh, wait a minute, it's year 3 now, and they're still here. So maybe it's not as scary as I thought it was. But yeah, my major encouragement to agents would be 2 things. 1, get paid the best you can, because why not? It's a job. It's not it's not a hobby. It's a job. And 2, believe in yourself enough to know that your clients are hiring you because of you and not you because of the brand that you're associated with.
And build a process that earns the money you make, right? 100%. I think that's a very, very important thing that, frankly, a large percentage of real estate agents probably miss on is, you might make a check or collect a commission check that you maybe not have earned. And I can tell you firsthand, like there's probably loans that I've closed that I didn't do much on, right? And certain clients will make our jobs really easy, right? But identify and build a process that earns and justifies the cost of your service.
Yeah.
And that could be industry, fluid.
And when you've done that, you lose imposter syndrome, right? And a lot of people struggle with that in our industry where, your average paychecks are less than ours. So I think we have it worse.
A lot less.
Yeah, I think we have it worse sometimes where we help someone buy a $500,000 house. We showed them one house. We wrote an offer. We went to the inspection, and then boom, it's closing day.
Yeah.
And we make a check for $15,000, and we calculate I'm talking the real hours, right? We go, I spent 5 hours.
Yeah.
Of time, well, it's, the relationship before that I spent the time with or whatever. We try to justify it.
Yeah.
It's okay to sometimes say that was an easy one.
Yeah.
And I probably made more than I probably should have on that one.
Yeah.
And it does help that sometimes there's bad transactions that we work for 6 months and they don't buy anything.
Right.
So it does have a way of evening out. But I do think that imposter syndrome is a real thing in our industry and probably most.
Totally. Actually, kind of circling back to that minus the outcome thing that we talked about from this morning. The speaker that we had on shared, a story that he had ran into where, you always think about like, all right, I want to scale this business, right? And you're on this trajectory towards this, huge success, right? That's what everybody, when you paint your picture, you want your brand to be able to scale with that, right? With that success. But one story that he shared is he actually went through something that was really, really tough in his life where he was a part of a hacking basically where he lost his identity.
Oh, wow.
And they stole a bunch of money from him and he got locked out of everything. He got locked out of all of his social media. And he said, talk about a humbling experience, right? Where you have to start from literally ground zero, you know, as much as he was able to get his true name back, like he was out tens of thousands of dollars and he was starting from literally zero. But the mindset shift that he took was that he approached that with grace and like continued like confidence, because you know what, I'm not defined by my success. I'm not defined by those awards you talked about or the checks that I receive, or, you know, at the end of the day, like if you get hacked and you start from ground zero and you lose all your money, guess what? If you did it right, you still have your friends, you still have your family, you still have your core roots in things that don't matter, right? And how often do we define ourselves in the amount of likes we get or the views we get or the...
Too often.
Yeah.
Too often, right?
And I'm firsthand as a true podcaster now, like...
You want some people to watch this,
yeah, I mean,
right?
obviously, I hope that this goes viral, right? But
yeah. Well, I don't know if we said anything bad enough yet to go viral, but I would say you're spot on that. I think that it's trying to maintain a level of gratefulness no matter what. And I mean, you wake up and you feel poor, but you woke up. Yeah. Right? There's something to be grateful for. The client fired you, but you still got another one that you're working for. You fell short of your goals, but you were able to feed yourself 365 days and had a place to live, right? Yeah. There's always something to be grateful for. And I think when you go through life, and we have moments where that's hard, right? But when you go through your life from that approach, it just makes everything easier.
And it can be hard sometimes, you know, and I think it's a matter of perspective, right? Like I'll be the first to admit that I have moments of anxiety or depression where I'll have nights at home. It's like, man, I don't even know what's next. And then I look around at my beautiful home that I live in and the TV that's on and the heat that's running. And it's like, okay, maybe things aren't really all that bad, right?
One of the things, hopping back to religion for a second, that I find myself saying a lot, as a reminder, right? We hear it in church all the time, but I think it's powerful in that, give us this day our daily bread. Okay. Life is one day at a time. Yeah. We can have goals. We can have things that we're trying to achieve in life. We can have, you know, things we're excited about, et cetera. But the reality is yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is unknown. And today, right now, this podcast is what's happening. It's all that's mattering right in this second, right? No. So our daily bread, did I get through the day? Did I eat today? Do I have a place to live? Do I have a car to drive, et cetera? Great. I'm thankful. Yeah. Let's do this again tomorrow.
But I'm also not defined by those things too.
No, not at all. But I think you mentioned the word perspective, right? Perspective is everything. You can have perspective of gratefulness, or you can have perspective that leads to jealousy and envy and all these things, especially in the industries that we're at, right? Where people talk about numbers, brag about numbers. And even I do that when I come to, you know, talk about the firm sales, but mostly because I want to highlight what our people are doing, right? Yeah. Most of those firm sales aren't me doing it.
They're doing really cool things, and people deserve to hear about them.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, perspective, man. And also get rid of comparison, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. And we do that a lot in our industries for sure. No doubt. It's like, how did they get so many loans closed, or how are they doing deals?
Well, I think it's super important to touch on too, that sometimes when you challenge the status quo, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. So if you do things differently, like starting a podcast, you know, it'd be really easy for every other lender in Des Moines to be like, ooh, look at that weirdo. He started a podcast. He sucks at doing loans. That comes from
jealousy, by the way.
Yeah. And like the same thing, like when you start your own agency, that was probably a risk that you took.
Oh, yeah.
That probably caught some backlash.
You paint a target on yourself. Even though I believe, and I'm going to say full out, I don't suggest people start their own brokerages, right? Join a good one, but there's just things that happen when you start your own business. But I think people have an inclination to think, well, who does that person think they are? Who? Brady starts a podcast. He's not a podcaster. Right. Like, what an idiot. Yeah. And that, it's usually jealousy where that comes from. And I'm a big, like, what you're doing here with this thing is cool. And the reason it's cool is almost all agents, all lenders have thought to themselves, I should do a podcast, and you're one of the only ones doing it. Yeah. So, you know, the BS walks, as we say, it's you're living it out instead of, I had this idea once and I probably should have done it. And that's the same for me. There's probably a lot of people that have said, I need to go start my own brokerage, and never do. And even if you do it and fail, who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
And I think what it rooted back to for me is like that conversation I had with myself, whether it was middle of last year, whenever it happened, I had this like realization that I've built this process that I'm really proud of, and I want genuinely to help more people with their mortgage.
Yeah.
But I need to identify a way to get the word out about the way that I do business.
Yeah.
And that's where this came into play. And then I got to give a shout out to Amplified, who has made it come to life, you know, and I told you before we started recording, like when I tried self-producing a podcast, it's really hard to just push that to the side and not execute it because you get busy or you want to go play golf or whatever you know, your excuse can be. And now that I've got this crew that is behind the logistics of this, my job's just to show up and talk to awesome people.
Have you felt like you've seen some verifiable wins in terms of your guests, sending clients your way?
Yeah, and that's kind of a mix, right? Because at the end of the day, obviously the production of a podcast is just a cost, right? Like there's no AdSense revenue that I'm earning yet until this goes viral, right?
Can I just hold this up for the rest of the interview?
Shout out Northern Vessel, by the way, sponsor the podcast. Don't make me pay. I pay for coffee, right? There's an example of a cost of doing this, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the event is an example that I hosted last week at the time of recording this is, you know, that was a $3,000 event, right?
Yeah.
That I would not have had to put on.
Sure.
Shout out to the sponsors for help making it possible. But you know, the podcast is a cost of business, right? And you hit the nail on the head is like, that's the hope is that obviously I can feature agents. And not only will you guys feel inclined to feature me as your lender, but I want to feel like that I've earned it, right?
Sure.
Like I don't want you to just think like because I had you on that now you owe me a deal. Like that's not my intention.
Yeah.
But my hope is that when you have the conversation, you're like, man, this guy actually knows what he's doing. He's great at what he does.
And the reality is too, so your audience is getting to know you, but so am I.
Right.
I didn't know you before today.
Yeah.
So now this is just the way the world works.
Yep.
The next buyer that comes along that's looking for something specific might generate an email from me to you saying, hey, tell me more about your process.
Yep.
More about, are you in IFA? Are you like, what do you do?
We got it all, by the way.
So so the relationship that in my opinion, what you're building is a relationship builder, right? That could lead to business. But going back to the Gary Vee thing, just enjoy the process of doing it, you know, at the same time.
Yeah. And I don't sit in here every day like, man, I hope I get a deal today. You know, like I'm just enjoying the conversations that I'm having, you know, and trusting the fact that the exposure this is going to create will lead to business down the road to help justify the cost of producing it. And the coolest part that when I started this, I never really thought about, but it's created a platform for the people that I've had on too.
Yeah.
And now, because you and I both know, agents aren't the best at being consistent with content.
Yeah.
Now, every person that I feature, I'm posting not only a 30-ish minute video that you get to send to your database, but every day gets a short form video as well. Sure. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like all of the platforms are seeing this content. And I have heard positive feedback from agents that are posting and sharing my content, that's creating conversation for them. Yeah. And even like brand new agents, like don't feel like you have to be a seasoned 20-year veteran like Mark is to be featured on this podcast.
You don't need gray hair.
I think, well, I'm pretty good at executing on that, by the way. But, you know, I would argue that like featuring a new agent, even if you feel discouraged or maybe you don't have enough experience to share stories of your clients, whatever it is, I would argue that coming on the podcast gives you this platform of credibility that it's like, hey, I might be brand new, but look at me. I'm a podcast guest now. And it's just created this like generation of growth and sustainability. And the other thing that I want to touch on is like, I try to keep a very positive attitude with this too. Yeah. I feel like, especially over the last 3 years when our industry has just been hard, both from a professional standpoint and frankly from clients, like it's hard. It's not very affordable to own real estate right now, which in turn has led to a positive tone or a negative tone, right? And frankly, then has led to a lot of agents and industry professionals posting negative content and that rates are high and maybe you should wait or all these other stigmas that goes around. And I want to flip the script and I want to create a positive environment surrounding our industry and know and understand that real estate is on our clients' timelines. You can't time the market. All we can do is inform you on what is available.
Hard to force someone to buy or sell a house.
As
I found out.
And that's what roots in the name of this podcast is we're here to educate home buyers. While every episode may not be an educational touch point for a client to take home, you know, maybe the episode is more geared towards a real estate agent, right? The reality is the people that I'm featuring, our route is educating home buyers. Yeah. That's it.
Education is rarely a bad thing. Yeah. No matter what topic it's on. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I think 2026 should be better than 2025.
Yeah.
I know rates are trending down.
Yep.
This is probably the most active January I've ever seen. A lot has to do with weather, of course.
Yeah, it's been oddly warm.
Just houses that have been on the market for months are getting offers now in January, including my own. I'm selling my own house. I got an offer last week.
Congrats.
Thank you. So it's, and the rookies, you're right about that. I mean, you're not going to go into a living room and beat me on experience, but you can certainly beat me on passion and effort and some of the things that I just don't have the desire to do as much anymore. And we all start brand new. So,
and I think the other thing that we talked about before we started filming too is there's enough business to go around for all of us. We can all be successful, and it's more important about pouring into your circle and your people and growing a business that way. That's what matters most.
100%. And I was just telling an agent that this morning at the office, goals for 2026, et cetera. This is a people business. At the end of the day, it's a people business. The agents that are the most successful are good at getting around people. They know people that want to buy or sell because their sphere is bigger, right? They're willing to have the conversations. That's where I talk about no magic in this industry. I don't think there is magic to it. It's, are you social enough to want to be around people? Do you belong to things, groups, clubs, teams, whatever? And then that's part of it. And the other part of it is reminding them what you do frequently.
Right.
So when it comes up, you're the one that they think about.
In a way that's not off-putting.
No.
I think that's the thing that I've struggled with over the years is like, my business as a mortgage lender has really kind of become my personality. It's what people know me as, which is a good thing into a sense. But I don't ever want, if I go to a small group game night or I'm going to the bar to watch the football game with the boys, like I don't ever want it to seem like I'm there to sell them, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I might have my logo on my shirt or my hat or wherever it is, that doesn't mean that I'm there only because I'm trying to earn their business. I want them to know that I want to be their friend first. But I also want them to know that I am actually pretty good at what I do, and I want you to feel inclined to call me because, again, not because I want to earn your business from a money standpoint. It's because I want to make sure that you know you deserve the process that I've built when you buy a house.
I think most people are pretty good at knowing when something is authentic or not, and I think you can do both well in terms of being a friend, listening to someone, going out for dinner's sake, et cetera. And still reminding them, hey, if and when the time comes, I'd love to help your friends, family, et cetera. It doesn't mean the dinner was because of that. It's you've got to make a living. I've got to make a living. So I'll support you.
And because you're my friend, it's not because I'm going to text you every 3 days saying, hey, who do you know? Who do you know?
Yeah.
Like my hope is that when you see my content and you see me at wherever we are, you're like, oh, that's that guy that does loans, right? Or that's the guy that helps, people buy and sell houses. Like that's always been my approach. And listen, there's clients and friends that have chosen to go other directions.
That happens.
And there's no animosity there, and that was a hard thing for me to understand as a younger business owner was like when those people made that decision, it hurt, but then you realize that like, it's not, they didn't do that because they wanted to spite me. They did it because maybe they had another contact or their friends or family or, somebody else directed them a different direction.
Some don't want to do the business and personal mix.
From a finance standpoint too, I respect that.
Especially with lenders, right? Because you get to do the deep dive on the finances that agents don't even see. So I can actually understand it a little bit more on your end versus ours. It's like he's going to know our credit scores.
Yeah, and what debt we have and what do we spend our money on and how much money do we have? And those are like some very personal things that we are going to have to look at from a compliance standpoint. I can't share that with anyone, so you are protected in that sense. The other thing I'll share on that is like I look at bank statements and pay stubs for a living. It kind of is in one ear out the other.
It's just noise.
Yeah, it really is. It's not like I'm judgmental of somebody's earned income at this point. I've looked at 15,000 pay stubs in my career probably. But it's just, I want people to feel comfortable that they can reach out to me and there's no hard feelings if you don't, but that's kind of the heart of it. So, well, this has been fruitful. I don't even know what time it is, but I feel like we're probably at time. I only care because of their time, not my calendar, but
they'll pay you overtime. It's fine.
No, I won't. But no, Mark, I want to be genuine when I say this. This has been a very, very valuable conversation. It's encouraged me. I hope it's encouraged you. And I hope you feel, I tell my people when I have them on is I hope that when you're done with this, you feel that the conversation that we had is something that people also deserve to hear, right?
For sure.
And so I just am appreciative of the opportunity to get to know you and hopefully that everybody who was listening to this found value in what Mark has shared today as well. If anybody is listening to this and feels inclined to reach out to Mark, whether it's from a buying and selling real estate perspective. If you're an agent listening to this and you feel interested to learn more about Agency Iowa, I'll be sure to link his information, both social media and email and phone in the description below. But yeah, I appreciate everybody from tuning in. If you got anything else you want to share.
No, I appreciate the invite. This is cool. I like people get to eavesdrop on a conversation, which a lot of people like to do anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, agencyoiowa.com if people want to learn more about what we're doing. But yeah, I really appreciate the invite.
Fantastic. Thank you guys again for tuning in. This has been another episode of Educating Homebuyers. We'll see you guys next time.